28 years old, and they're already calling me Baron, Sarah whispered to the moon, unaware that in the shadows, eyes like molten gold had been watching her for months. The celebration hall blazed with lanterns and laughter, but Sarah Blackwood stood in the corner, a ghost at her own sister's mating ceremony. Luna, just 22, and radiant in silver silk, clung to her new mate's arm while the Silvercrest pack cheered. Sarah forced a smile and clapped along, even as the whispers slithered past her like smoke. Poor thing. 28 and still unmated. My grandmother says females past 25 are cursed by the moon goddess herself. No strong alpha would want her now. The best years are gone. Sarah's fingers tightened around her glass. She'd heard it all before. For 3 years, ever since she'd crossed that invisible line from desirable to discarded, the pack had treated her like spoiled meat. Women who'd once called her friend now looked at her with pity or satisfaction, depending on their nature. Men who'd once shown interest now avoided her gaze entirely. Sarah. The voice made her stomach clench. She turned to find Marcus approaching, his beta authority evident in every confident stride. Once, she'd been promised to him. Once, she'd believed they'd build a life together. Marcus. She kept her voice neutral. He looked good, he always did, with his sandy hair and easy smile. The same smile he'd given her 2 years ago when he'd broken their betrothal. Your sister looks beautiful, he said, glancing toward Luna. Mated at 22. That's the proper age, isn't it? Sarah said nothing. She knew what was coming. Marcus never could resist twisting the knife. I'm grateful every day that I made the right choice, he continued, loud enough for those nearby to hear. Their heads turned with predatory interest. Can you imagine? If I'd waited for you, I'd have an aging mate who might never give me pups. Thank the goddess I came to my senses. You chose my cousin, Sarah said quietly. 6 months after breaking our betrothal. Exactly. Claire was 22 then. Still young. Still fertile. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a mock whisper that somehow carried across half the room. I dodged a curse by choosing her instead of you. Everyone knows unmated females past 25 are damaged goods. Too old to be a proper bride. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Not kind laughter. The kind that stripped skin from bone. Sarah's wolf howled inside her chest, rage and shame burning in equal measure. But she wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. Not here. Not in front of everyone. Excuse me, she murmured, setting down her glass with a hand that barely trembled. She walked, didn't run, wouldn't run, toward the exit. Through the crowd that parted for her like she carried disease. Past her mother, who looked away. Past her father, whose jaw tightened but who said nothing in her defense. Only when she reached the forest's edge did she let herself move faster. Her heels caught on roots and stones as she plunged between the trees, away from the lights and music and casual cruelty. Away from the pack that had decided she had no value. The night air bit cold against her tear-stained cheeks. She didn't know where she was going. Didn't care. She just needed to be anywhere else. Sarah ran until her lungs burned and her legs shook, until she reached the massive oak tree that marked the forest's heart. She'd come here as a child. Had carved her initials in the bark at 10 years old, dreaming of the strong mate she'd find someday. She pressed her forehead against that bark now and let herself shatter. They're right, she sobbed, the words tearing out of her. Something's wrong with me. There has to be. Why else would the moon goddess leave me unmated? Why else would everyone look at me like I'm broken? Her wolf whimpered, as wounded as she was. They'd both believed they'd find their fated mate by now. That somewhere, someone was meant for them. But maybe there was no one. Maybe she really was cursed. I'm worthless, she whispered to the moon hanging full and bright overhead. 28 years old and worthless. A branch snapped behind her. Sarah spun, her heart slamming against her ribs. The forest had gone utterly silent. No crickets. No night birds. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Then she saw them. Eyes like molten gold, watching from the darkness between the trees. Her wolf surged with alarm. Those eyes weren't Silvercrest. No wolf in her pack had eyes that color, ancient gold touched with fire. The massive black wolf stepped into the moonlight, and Sarah's breath stopped. He was enormous. Easily twice the size of any wolf she'd ever seen, with midnight fur that seemed to drink the light. Power rolled off him in waves that made her knees weak. This was an alpha. Not just any alpha. This was death on 4 legs. And she just realized, with horror crystallizing in her gut, where she was standing. The oak tree. The borderline oak. She'd run so blindly that she'd crossed into Blood Moon territory. Home to Alpha Kale Thornwood. The most feared alpha in 5 regions. The alpha who'd killed 3 challengers in a single night. Who destroyed 2 packs that threatened his borders. Who showed no mercy to trespassers. "I'm sorry," Sarah gasped, stumbling backward. "I didn't mean, I wasn't thinking, I'll go." The black wolf shifted. The transformation was liquid and terrible, bones and muscle reorganizing with inhuman grace. And then a man stood before her, and Sarah forgot how to breathe. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with black hair that fell past his collar and a face carved from hard angles and brutal beauty. Scars marked his chest and arms, a warrior's body, built for violence. But it was his eyes that pinned her in place. Those gold eyes. Looking at her like she was the only thing that existed in the world. "Finally," he said, his voice a dark rumble that went straight through her bones. Sarah's heart stopped. "What?" He took a step forward. She took a step back, her spine hitting the oak tree. 3 months, Kale Thornwood said, closing the distance between them with predatory grace. "I've watched you for 3 months. Waiting for you to cross the border. Waiting for you to come to me. I don't understand. Don't you?" His lips curved, but it wasn't quite a smile. Too sharp. Too intense. "I could smell you from my territory, little wolf. Every full moon, you came to this tree. Every full moon, I stood in the shadows and fought every instinct I have not to drag you across the border myself." Sarah's mouth went dry. Why? He was close enough now that she could feel the heat of him, could see the way his pupils dilated as he breathed in her scent. "Because you're mine," Kale said simply. "You've always been mine." The words slammed into her. That's impossible." "Is it?" His hand came up, and she flinched, but he only brushed his knuckles along her jaw with surprising gentleness. "Then why does your wolf recognize me? Why is she singing right now?" And goddess help her, she was. Her wolf was singing, howling, thrashing with sudden desperate joy. The broken thing inside Sarah that had been quietly dying suddenly blazed to life. "Mate," her wolf whispered. "Mate." "No," Sarah breathed, even as every cell in her body screamed yes. "You can't be, I'm 28. I'm..." "Perfect," Kale interrupted, his eyes blazing. "You're perfect. And anyone who made you believe otherwise will answer to me." Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. Sarah stared at the man before her. The legend, the nightmare, the alpha whose name made grown warriors flinch, and her mind simply refused to process what he'd just said. "That's impossible," she whispered. Kale's hand was still against her jaw, his thumb tracing the line of her cheekbone with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone so deadly. "Why? Because your pack told you that you were past your prime? That no alpha would want you?" "Because I'm 28, Sarah said, hating how her voice broke. "Because if we were mates, I would have known. I would have felt it. The moon goddess wouldn't." "The moon goddess doesn't give a damn about human timelines," Kale interrupted, his voice rough. "Mate bonds form when they form. Some at 18. Some at 80. And hours. His eyes darkened, pupils expanding until only a ring of gold remained. Ours has been burning for 3 years. 3 years. Sarah's legs felt weak. That's when Marcus broke our betrothal. That's when I went to the neutral territory market, Cale said. Looking for steel for my warrior's weapons. And I caught your scent across a crowded square. His other hand came up, framing her face. Honeysuckle and rain. I followed it like a man possessed until I saw you examining bolts of fabric at a merchant's stall. You wore a green dress. Your hair was longer then. And the moment I laid eyes on you, every instinct I have roared mine. Sarah's heart hammered. She remembered that day. Remembered feeling watched. Remembered the strange restlessness that had plagued her the entire ride home. Why didn't you approach me? Because you were betrothed, Cale said simply. And you were smiling. You looked happy. I thought. He paused, something like pain flickering across his brutal features. I thought you'd chosen him. That the bond was one-sided somehow. It's rare, but it happens. So I stayed away. Watched from a distance. Waited to see if the feeling would fade. It didn't. It got stronger, he said, his voice dropping to a growl. Every month, I'd catch your scent when you came to this tree. Every month, I'd stand in my territory and fight myself not to cross that border and claim what was mine. Do you have any idea what that's been like? Knowing my mate was so close, hearing her cry, smelling her pain, and not being able to go to her? Sarah's breath came faster. You've been watching me for 3 months? Every full moon. You come here when you're hurting. When your pack makes you feel small. His jaw tightened. Tonight, when you crossed the border, when you finally came to me, I knew I was done waiting. But Sarah started. Mine, Cale finished, his voice absolute. Say it. I can't just. Say it, Sarah. His hands slid to her shoulders, anchoring her. Feel what's between us and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me your wolf isn't howling for me right now. Tell me you don't feel this. And goddess help her, she did feel it. A pull so strong it made her bones ache. A rightness that made everything else in her life suddenly make horrible, perfect sense. She'd never bonded with Marcus because he wasn't her mate. She'd never felt that click, that certainty, because she'd been waiting for this. For him. I'm 35 years old, Cale said, his voice gentling. And I've never taken a mate. Never even been tempted. Do you know what my pack has said about that? What rumors have circulated? Some think I'm cursed. Some think I'm incapable of bonding. My second-in-command has been pressuring me for years to choose someone, anyone, to secure the bloodline. His forehead touched hers. But I couldn't. Because I was waiting for you. Tears burned Sarah's eyes. They told me I was worthless. They lied. The words came out harsh, angry. And I will make sure every single one of them knows it. Before Sarah could respond, voices echoed through the forest. Angry voices. Coming closer. Sarah. Her father's voice. Sarah Blackwood, answer me. Cale's entire body went rigid, a low growl rumbling in his chest. It's my pack, Sarah said quickly. They must have noticed I left. They noticed their punching bag disappeared, Cale corrected, his eyes blazing as he turned toward the approaching wolves. Stay behind me. But. Behind me, Sarah. She'd never heard that tone before. Pure alpha command, edged with lethal promise. Her body obeyed before her mind caught up, stepping into his shadow as a dozen Silvercrest wolves burst into the clearing. Her father led them, still in his ceremonial robes from the mating ceremony. Marcus was there too, along with several other males and, Sarah's stomach sank, Alpha Donovan himself. They all froze when they saw Cale. The temperature in the clearing dropped 10 degrees. Every Silvercrest wolf took an instinctive step back, their wolves recognizing a predator far beyond their ability to challenge. Alpha Thornwood, Donovan said carefully. He was a large man, solid and confident, but next to Cale he looked small. Ordinary. We're looking for one of our pack members. She's upset. Not thinking clearly. If she's wandered into your territory. She didn't wander, Cale said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. She crossed the border. And she's staying. Sarah's father's eyes widened. Now wait just a minute. She's mine. Cale's hand shot out, catching Sarah's wrist and pulling her to his side. His arm wrapped around her waist, holding her against him with possessive certainty. My mate. Any wolf who disrespects her disrespects me. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. That's impossible. She can't be your mate. She's. Careful, Cale warned, his voice dropping to something deadly. Very careful what you say next. Marcus's laughter died. But his sneer remained. She's too old. Everyone knows unmated females past 25 are. He didn't get to finish. Cale moved with inhuman speed, closing the distance between them in a heartbeat. His hand locked around Marcus's throat, lifting the beta off his feet like he weighed nothing. Say one more word about my mate, Cale said softly, and I'll rip your tongue out through your neck. Cale, Sarah gasped, grabbing his arm. Please. He didn't release Marcus immediately. But after a long, terrible moment, he opened his hand and let the beta drop. Marcus collapsed, gasping, hand at his throat. She's 28 years old, Cale announced, his gaze sweeping across every Silvercrest wolf present. She's beautiful. She's strong. And the moon goddess herself chose her for me. If any of you have a problem with that, step forward now. I'll be happy to educate you. No one moved. You can't just take her, Alpha Donovan said, though his voice lacked conviction. She's Silvercrest. She belongs. To me, Cale finished. The mate bond supersedes pack law. You know this. She crossed into my territory of her own will. She's mine by right of the moon goddess and by her own choice. His eyes found Sarah's. Tell them. Sarah's mouth went dry. Every face was turned toward her. Her father. Marcus. Her alpha. All the wolves who'd whispered about her, pitted her, made her feel worthless for 3 years. She started, her voice barely a whisper. Louder, Cale said, his hand tightening on her waist. Let them hear you. Something shifted inside her. Some cage she'd been living in for years suddenly cracked open. I'm his mate, Sarah said, louder now. And I'm staying. Her father's face crumpled. Sarah, please. Think about what you're doing. She's thought about it for 3 years, Cale said. While you stood by and let your pack destroy her spirit. While you said nothing as they called her barren and cursed and worthless. His voice was ice. She owes you nothing. Now get off my territory before I stop being diplomatic. Alpha Donovan looked like he wanted to argue. But even he wasn't foolish enough to challenge Cale Thornwood on his own land. This isn't over, Donovan said. Yes, Cale replied. It is. The Silvercrest wolves retreated, melting back into the forest. But not before Sarah caught her father's anguished look, Marcus's fury, and worst of all, her mother emerging from the trees with tears streaming down her face. Sarah, her mother called. Please. But Cale was already moving, sweeping Sarah into his arms like she weighed nothing and heading deeper into Blood Moon territory. Wait, Sarah protested. My mother can visit when she learns to respect you, Cale said. His stride didn't slow. You're done being their doormat. Sarah should have been angry. Should have demanded he put her down, that he couldn't just carry her off like some prize he'd won. But her wolf was purring, content in a way she'd never felt before, and the rightness of being in his arms overwhelmed everything else. They emerged from the forest into Blood Moon territory proper, and Sarah's breath caught. The Pack village sprawled across a valley, larger and more prosperous than Silvercrest by far. Stone houses with slate roofs, wide streets lit by lanterns, and in the center, a massive lodge built from ancient timber that radiated power. Wolves paused in their evening activities to stare as Kale carried her through the streets. Sarah felt their eyes on her, heard the whispers starting. But unlike Silvercrest, there was no malice in these looks. Only curiosity. Interest. And when Kale's eyes swept across his pack, she saw them dip their heads in respect, not submission, but genuine regard. Alpha, a woman called, stepping forward. She was tall, muscular, with short-cropped blonde hair and a warrior's confidence. "What's this?" "Lissa," Kale acknowledged. "My mate." Sarah Blackwood, formerly of Silvercrest. Lissa's eyes widened, then narrowed as they swept over Sarah. Something flickered across her face, surprise, calculation, and something else. Something darker. "Your mate," Lissa repeated, her voice carefully neutral. "Well. That's unexpected." "Is it?" Kale's tone warned against further comment. "No, Alpha. Of course not." But Lissa's smile didn't reach her eyes as she looked at Sarah. "Welcome to Blood Moon. I'm sure you'll fit in, eventually." The emphasis on that last word made Sarah's stomach clench. Kale growled low. "Lissa. I need to check the Northern Patrol," Lissa interrupted, already turning away. "Welcome home, Alpha." Sarah watched her go, unease prickling down her spine. "She doesn't like me." "She'll learn to," Kale said shortly, carrying her toward the lodge. "Lissa's my head warrior and childhood friend. She's protective." That wasn't what it had looked like. That had looked like jealousy. But before Sarah could comment, they entered the lodge, and she forgot about Lissa entirely. The interior was warm and beautiful, all exposed beams and stone fireplaces. Wolves gathered in the main hall, eating and talking, and when Kale entered with Sarah in his arms, every conversation stopped. "This is Sarah," Kale announced, his voice carrying through the space. "My mate. She's Blood Moon now. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me personally." Silence. Then, slowly, wolves began to stand. One by one, they placed their fists over their hearts in a gesture of respect. "Welcome, Luna," someone called. Others echoed it, their voices warm. "Welcome. Welcome home. Goddess bless the Alpha's mate." Sarah's eyes burned. This was how a pack was supposed to treat their Luna. With respect. With welcome. Not with whispers and cruelty. Kale carried her up a staircase to private quarters, his quarters, she realized, and finally set her on her feet in a bedroom that was all dark wood and masculine simplicity. "You're safe here," he said, his hands framing her face again. "I need you to know that. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're afraid of, you're safe." Sarah's hands came up to grip his wrists. "I don't understand why you want me." "Because you're mine," Kale said, like it was the simplest thing in the world. "Because the moon goddess made you for me. Because when I look at you, everything in me says home." His thumb brushed her lower lip. "And because you're not what they told you. You're not broken or worthless or too old. You're perfect exactly as you are." A sob broke from Sarah's throat. "I want to believe that." "Then believe it. Believe me." He pulled her closer, until she could feel his heartbeat against her chest. "I've waited 35 years for you. I'll wait as long as you need to see yourself the way I see you." Sarah pressed her face against his chest, breathing him in. Pine and smoke and something wild. Her wolf was singing again, that broken thing inside her mending with every second in his presence. "I feel different here," she whispered. "Stronger somehow." "Your wolf is waking up," Kale said. His hand stroked down her back. I can feel her getting stronger. Sarah pulled back. What do you mean, waking up? My wolf is, she stopped. Because her wolf wasn't dormant. Not anymore. She could feel her clearly now, present and powerful in a way she hadn't felt since. When was the last time you shifted? Cale asked, his eyes sharp. Sarah's mind raced. I don't know. Years? I thought it was because I was getting older, that my wolf was fading. Wolves don't fade, Cale said, his voice hard. Not unless something forces them to. He cupped her face, making her look at him. Sarah. Has your alpha ever given the unmated females any kind of tonic? Drink? Anything to help with the transition into older age? Sarah's blood went cold. The moon tea. Every female over 25 has to drink it during the full moon. Alpha Donovan says it's to help us maintain our health, to keep our wolves calm. It's suppression magic, Cale snarled, fury blazing in his eyes. That bastard has been dosing his older females with wolf suppression. Making them weak. Submissive. Keeping them from being able to challenge or leave. The room spun. No. That's forbidden. It is. And I'm going to rip his throat out for it. Sarah's legs gave out. Cale caught her, holding her up as everything she'd believed about herself shattered and reformed. She wasn't broken. She wasn't cursed. She'd been poisoned. My wolf, she gasped. I can feel her. She's fighting to wake up, Cale finished. And now that you're away from that tea, away from his influence, she will. It'll take time. But you'll have your full strength back. His eyes blazed with protective fury. I promise you that. Sarah's wolf howled inside her, rage and joy mixing together. All those years. All that pain. All that shame. And it had been a lie. All of it. I'm going to kill him, she whispered. Cale's smile was sharp and proud. Not if I kill him first. But you can help. A knock at the door interrupted them. Cale growled, but called, enter. A young wolf stepped in, dipping his head respectfully. Alpha. Silvercrest has sent a formal complaint to the regional council. They're demanding Luna Sarah's return, claiming you stole her through coercion. Of course they are, Cale said. His arm tightened around Sarah. Tell them to go to hell. Alpha Donovan is also requesting a formal hearing before the council in 3 days. Cale's eyes flashed. Fine. Let him request it. The council will see exactly what he's been doing to his females. And when they do, Silvercrest will answer for it. The young wolf nodded and retreated. Sarah looked up at Cale, her heart pounding. What have I done? I've started a war between our packs. You've started nothing, Cale corrected. Your former alpha started this the moment he began poisoning his females. You're just the first one strong enough to escape. His hand tilted her chin up. And you're not going back. Not ever. Do you understand me? Sarah nodded, even as fear and hope warred inside her. Say it, Cale demanded. Say you're staying. I'm staying, Sarah whispered. Say you're mine. I'm yours. Say you're Blood Moon now. I'm Blood Moon, Sarah said, stronger now. I'm yours. And I'm never going back. Cale's kiss was fierce and claiming, branding her with the truth of his words. And for the first time in 3 years, Sarah felt something other than shame. She felt powerful. Her wolf stirred inside her, growing stronger with each passing moment. And somewhere deep in her bones, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning. The real fight was yet to come. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. Sarah woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the scent of pine and smoke wrapped around her like a blanket. For a confused moment, she didn't know where she was. Then memory crashed back, the border, Kale, the mate bond, everything. She was in Blood Moon territory. In the Alpha's bed. Though Kale wasn't in it. The sheets beside her were cool, and she could hear movement from somewhere deeper in the lodge. Her wolf stirred, immediately seeking him, and Sarah caught her breath at the sensation. Her wolf. Present and awake in a way she hadn't been in years. Sarah sat up slowly, testing this new awareness. It was like having a limb that had been asleep suddenly flood with sensation, painful and wonderful at once. She could feel everything more sharply. The texture of the sheets against her skin. The individual sense in the air. The pull of the mate bond like a golden thread connecting her to wherever Kale was. "Goddess," she whispered. A knock at the door made her jump. "Luna?" A female voice, young and tentative. "Alpha Kale sent me to help you dress and show you to breakfast." Sarah wrapped the sheet around herself. "Come in." A girl who couldn't be more than 19 entered, carrying folded clothes. She had kind eyes and a warm smile. "I'm Tessa. Welcome to Blood Moon, Luna. The whole pack is excited to meet you properly. They don't think it's strange?" Sarah asked as Tessa laid out a simple tunic and leggings. "That their Alpha's mate is older?" Tessa's eyebrows rose. "Older? Luna, you're barely past 25 winters. My own mother didn't meet her mate until she was 32. Age means wisdom here, not weakness." She grinned. "Besides, have you seen our Alpha? He needed someone with enough years to handle him." Sarah felt something loosen in her chest. This was so different from Silvercrest, where every year past 25 had felt like another nail in her coffin. She dressed with Tessa's help, marveling at how the Blood Moon clothes fit her properly, made for a woman's body, not a girl's. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. There was color in her cheeks. Light in her eyes. "You look beautiful," Tessa said. "Come on. Alpha's waiting, and he gets growly when he's away from you too long." Sarah followed her down to the main hall, where pack members were gathering for the morning meal. Conversations paused as she entered, but the looks she received were curious, not cruel. Respectful, not pitying. Kale stood near the head table, deep in conversation with several large males who could only be his senior warriors. But the moment Sarah entered, his head snapped up like he'd scented her. His eyes blazed gold as they tracked her progress across the room. "Sarah," he said, and even across the distance, she felt that voice like a physical touch. "Come here." She went, helpless against the pull. When she reached him, he immediately pulled her against his side, his arm a possessive band around her waist. "Did you sleep well?" "Better than I have in years," Sarah admitted. Something fierce and satisfied flashed across his face. "Good." He turned to the males he'd been speaking with. "Sarah, this is Garrett, my second. And Finn, my third." Both men were massive, scarred, and looked like they could snap her in half. But they dipped their heads respectfully. "Luna," Garrett said, his voice a rumble. "It's an honor." "The Alpha's been impossible for 3 years," Finn added with a slight grin. "Now we know why. Welcome home." Sarah's throat tightened. Home. They kept saying that word like they meant it. "Where's Lissa?" Kale asked, his eyes scanning the room. "Training the new recruits," Garrett said. "She said she'd join us later." Something in Garrett's tone made Sarah think there was more to it than that. But before she could analyze it, movement at the hall's entrance drew everyone's attention. Lissa strode in, still in training leathers, sweat gleaming on her skin. She looked every inch the warrior, strong, confident, deadly. Her eyes found Sarah immediately, and that same dark flicker from last night crossed her face. "Alpha," Lissa said, approaching. "I need to speak with you. Privately." "Anything you need to say can be said in front of my mate," Kale replied. Lissa's jaw tightened. "It's about pack security." Sensitive information. Then we'll discuss it in my office. With Sarah. With all due respect, Alpha, she's been here less than a day. She doesn't need to. She's my mate and you're Luna, Cale interrupted, his voice hardening. Which means she has every right to hear anything concerning this pack. Is that going to be a problem? The entire hall had gone quiet. Every eye was on Lissa, watching to see what she'd do. No, Alpha, Lissa said finally, though her eyes blazed with resentment. No problem at all. But the way she looked at Sarah said otherwise. They moved to Cale's office, a room lined with maps and weapons that smelled like leather and old paper. Lissa stood near the window, her posture rigid. What is it? Cale asked. The Northern Patrol spotted Silvercrest scouts near our border this morning, Lissa said. 3 of them. They ran when challenged, but they were definitely gathering intelligence. Cale's expression darkened. Damien's testing us. Or looking for weaknesses, Lissa agreed. Her eyes slid to Sarah. Specifically, new weaknesses. Watch your tone, Cale warned. I'm just stating facts, Alpha. You've brought an unknown female into our pack. We don't know her capabilities, her loyalties. She's my mate, Cale snarled. Her loyalty is to me. To us. Is it? Lissa turned fully to face Sarah now, and there was challenge in every line of her body. Because from where I stand, she spent 28 years in Silvercrest. Learning their ways. Absorbing their teachings. And now, conveniently, she crosses into our territory the same night her sister mates. Seems like awfully convenient timing. Sarah's wolf surged with sudden, shocking rage. Are you accusing me of being a spy? I'm saying we should be cautious about who we trust. Lissa took a step closer. You show up, claim to be the Alpha's mate, and suddenly Silvercrest is mobilizing scouts. Doesn't that strike you as suspicious? They're mobilizing because I left, Sarah said, her voice shaking, but not with fear. With anger. Because their Alpha has been poisoning his females for years and I'm proof of his crime. Or because you're exactly where you were meant to be all along, Lissa countered. In our territory. Learning our secrets. Feeding information back to. Sarah moved without thinking. One moment she was standing by Cale's desk, the next she'd crossed the room and shoved Lissa hard enough to send the larger woman stumbling back. I am not a spy, Sarah growled, and her voice came out wrong. Deeper. Layered with her wolf's rage. And I won't stand here and let you. Power exploded through her. It felt like lightning in her veins, like fire in her bones. Her wolf surged forward with a force that stole Sarah's breath, and suddenly she was shifting, actually shifting for the first time in years. The transformation was violent and painful, her body remembering what had been stolen from it. Sarah heard herself cry out, heard Cale shout her name, and then she was on 4 legs, her vision sharper, her senses overwhelming. The room had gone utterly silent. Sarah looked down at her paws and froze. They weren't brown like she remembered. They weren't gray like most wolves in her former pack. They were silver. Pure, gleaming silver, like moonlight made solid. Goddess, Garrett breathed. She's a silver wolf. Lissa had gone pale, backing away slowly. Even her wolf recognized what Sarah was, something rare. Something powerful. Something dangerous. Cale moved to Sarah's side, dropping to one knee. His hand went to her head, stroking the silver fur with something like awe in his eyes. Easy, sweetheart. You're all right. Just breathe. But Sarah's wolf didn't want to breathe. She wanted to attack. Wanted to show Lissa exactly what happened to wolves who challenged their Luna. Sarah, Cale said, his voice firm but gentle. Shift back. Now. It took effort, but Sarah forced herself to change back. The transformation left her gasping, naked on the office floor. Cale immediately stripped off his shirt and wrapped it around her. A silver wolf, Finn said from the doorway, Sarah hadn't even noticed him enter. Alpha, do you know what this means? It means she's royalty, Cale said, his eyes never leaving Sarah's face. Ancient bloodline. Direct descent from the first wolves. It means she's a target, Garrett corrected grimly. Every pack within 500 miles will want to either claim her or kill her. Silver wolves haven't been seen in 3 generations. Sarah's head spun. I don't understand. I'm just. You're not just anything, Cale said fiercely. You're descended from the royal line. That's why your pack suppressed you. That's why they fed you that poison for years. They knew what you were, and they were terrified of it. Alpha Donovan knew, Sarah whispered, pieces clicking into place. That's why he always watched me so carefully. Why he insisted I take the moon tea every month without fail. Why he looked so relieved when Marcus broke our betrothal. He was keeping you weak, Cale said, rage simmering in his voice. Keeping you submissive. Because if you'd awakened to your full power, you could have challenged him for pack leadership. Could have exposed him. And now she has awakened, Lissa said quietly. All the hostility had drained from her voice, replaced by something that looked almost like fear. I'm sorry, Luna. I didn't know. I didn't understand. Sarah looked at the warrior who'd challenged her and saw genuine contrition. You thought I was a threat to your pack. I thought you were a threat to my alpha, Lissa corrected. I've known Cale since we were children. I've fought beside him, bled with him. And I've watched him refuse every female who tried to bond with him, waiting for someone worthy of him. Her jaw tightened. I wanted to be that someone. But I never was. And when you showed up, she stopped, shaking her head. It doesn't matter. You're his mate. You're silver-born. And I was wrong to question you. Before Sarah could respond, a commotion erupted from the main hall. Shouting. The sound of weapons being drawn. Cale was on his feet instantly, every inch the lethal alpha. What now? Garrett stuck his head back in. Alpha. Silvercrest's Alpha Damien is at our gates. He's brought 20 warriors and is demanding entry. Demanding, Cale repeated, his voice deadly soft. He says he's here to retrieve stolen property, Garrett continued. And he's threatened war if we don't return her. Sarah's blood ran cold. Not just because Damien had come. But because he'd called her property. Over my dead body, Cale snarled. That might be what he's counting on, Finn said grimly. They moved as a group to the main gates, where Sarah could see Damien and his warriors assembled outside Bloodman's borders. Alpha Damien was a large man, silver-haired and hard-eyed, with Marcus standing just behind him. The sight of Marcus made Sarah's stomach clench. He looked haggard, dark circles under his eyes. Alpha Thornwood, Damien called, his voice carrying across the distance. I've come for my pack member. Sarah Blackwood is no longer Silvercrest, Cale replied, his arm going around Sarah's waist, presenting a united front. She's Blood Moon. She's my mate. And she's not going anywhere. She was coerced, Damien said. Confused. She didn't know what she was doing when she crossed your border. I knew exactly what I was doing, Sarah called back, her voice strong. I was escaping. From you. From your poison. From your lies. Damien's expression flickered. I don't know what falsehoods you've been told. I know about the moon tea, Sarah interrupted. I know about the suppression magic. I know what you did to me and every other female in your pack past 25 years old. That's slander, Damien snapped. And even if it were true, which it's not, I had good reason. What reason? Cale demanded. Damien was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, there's a prophecy. An old one, dating back centuries. It states that a silver wolf born in the Silvercrest line will either unite all werewolf kind, or destroy us completely. The words hung in the air like a blade. When Sarah was born with silver in her bloodline, Damien continued, I knew what she could become. The power she could wield. So yes, I suppressed it. I kept her weak. I kept her controlled. Because I couldn't risk her becoming the destroyer the prophecy warned about. So you poisoned her, Cale said, his voice vibrating with barely contained violence. You stole years of her life. Made her believe she was worthless. All because you were afraid of what she might be. I did what was necessary to protect my pack, Damien shot back. And now you've awakened her. You've unleashed something that could end us all. So yes, I want her back. I need her back. Under my control, where she can't fulfill the dark half of that prophecy. She's not going back, Cale repeated. Not now. Not ever. Then you're declaring war, Damien said flatly. If that's what it takes. Sarah felt the weight of dozens of eyes on her. Blood Moon warriors preparing for battle. Silvercrest wolves waiting for orders. And in the middle of it all, her, the silver wolf who might destroy them all. Wait, Marcus said, stepping forward. Father, let me talk to her. Alone. Maybe I can make her see reason. Damien looked like he wanted to refuse. But after a tense moment, he nodded. 5 minutes. And she stays on our side of the border. Like hell, Cale growled. It's all right, Sarah said, touching his arm. I'll talk to him. But not on Silvercrest land. Neutral ground. The borderline oak. Cale looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. I'll be watching. One wrong move from him. I know. They walked to the oak tree together, Sarah and Marcus, with 24 wolves watching from either side. When they were far enough away that others couldn't hear, Marcus turned to her. Sarah, he said, and his voice cracked. Please. Come back. Why would I do that? Because. He ran a hand through his hair, looking genuinely distressed. Because I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. Breaking our betrothal. Choosing Claire. All of it. Sarah stared at him. You called me too old. You said you dodged a curse. I know. I know, and I've hated myself for it every day since. Marcus stepped closer. My father ordered me to break it off with you. He said you were too dangerous, that your bloodline made you unstable. He threatened to exile me if I didn't obey. So I did it. I said those horrible things to make sure you'd never want me back, because I thought if I hurt you enough, you'd be safe from him. From what he might do. That's not protection, Marcus. That's cruelty. I know. But Sarah, I've loved you since we were children. That never changed. I married Claire, but I think about you every day. Dream about you every night. And now you're mated to him, his voice turned bitter. To that monster. He's not a monster, Sarah said firmly. He's the most dangerous alpha in 5 regions. He's killed challengers with his bare hands. He's destroyed packs who opposed him. And you think he actually cares about you? He wants your power, Sarah. That's all. He wants to control the silver wolf for himself. You're wrong. Am I? Marcus grabbed her arms, his eyes desperate. Come back with me. I'll protect you from my father. We'll run if we have to. Go somewhere no one knows about the prophecy. We can have the life we should have had. Please. Let go of me. Sarah. I said let go. Her wolf surged, and Marcus must have felt it because he immediately released her, stumbling back. You're making a mistake, he said. The only mistake I made was believing you ever loved me, Sarah replied. You broke me, Marcus. You and your father and everyone in that pack. You made me think I was worthless. That I was broken. And you did it deliberately. To protect you. No. To control me. Sarah's eyes flashed. Well, I'm done being controlled. I'm done being weak. And I'm done with Silvercrest. She turned to walk away. He's using you, Marcus called after her. And when he's done, when he has what he wants, he'll discard you just like I did. Sarah froze. Then slowly turned back. The difference is, he's my mate. The moon goddess herself chose us for each other. What did you and I have? A political betrothal arranged by our fathers. So no, Marcus. You didn't discard me. I never belonged to you in the first place. She walked back toward Blood Moon territory, her head high. But as she approached, she saw Cale's face, and her heart sank. He'd heard. From the fury blazing in his eyes, the tension in every line of his body, he'd heard every word Marcus said. Cale. Inside, he said, his voice rough. Now. He didn't touch her as they walked back to the lodge. Didn't speak. Just radiated cold rage that made everyone they passed scatter out of the way. When they reached his office, he closed the door with carefully controlled force. He loves you, Cale said flatly. He thinks he does. And you believed him. Sarah's temper flared. I believed nothing. I told him. I heard what you told him. I also heard you hesitate. Saw you let him touch you. He grabbed me. I told him to let go. After he said he loved you. After he begged you to run away with him. Cale's hands clenched into fists. Tell me the truth, Sarah. If we weren't mates, if you'd met him first, before all the poison and pain, would you have chosen him? The question hung between them, sharp and painful. It doesn't matter, Sarah said. Because we are mates. Because I did meet you. Because. Answer the question. Sarah looked at this alpha who'd claimed her, who'd defended her, who'd awakened parts of her she'd thought were dead. And she told him the truth. Maybe, she said softly. 3 years ago, before everything, I might have. Because I didn't know any better. Because I thought love looked like what Marcus and I had, comfortable and safe and ordinary. She stepped closer to Cale, placing her hand over his heart. But I know better now. I know that love isn't safe. It's terrifying and overwhelming and completely consuming. It's what I feel when I look at you. What my wolf feels for yours. So yes, maybe I would have chosen Marcus once. But that girl is gone. And the woman I am now chooses you. Every time. Without question. Cale stared at her, his chest heaving. Then he crushed her against him, his mouth taking hers in a kiss that was equal parts possession and desperation. Mine, he growled against her lips. Say it. Yours, Sarah gasped. Always yours. If he touches you again. He won't. If he even looks at you. Cale. Sarah pulled back enough to meet his eyes. I'm yours. Let that be enough. He buried his face in her neck, breathing her in. I can't lose you. Not now. Not after waiting so long. You won't. Sarah held him tight, this powerful alpha who was vulnerable only with her. I promise. But even as she said it, she felt the weight of the prophecy, the threat of war, and the knowledge that Marcus's father wouldn't give up easily. The battle for her freedom, for her life, had only just begun. And somewhere in Blood Moon territory, a traitorous wolf was already composing a message to Silvercrest, detailing everything about the Silver Wolf's awakening. Everything that Alpha Damien would need to destroy her. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The days following Marcus's visit were tense and cold. Cale had become a storm barely contained, snapping at his warriors, spending hours in strategy meetings, and worst of all, treating Sarah like fragile glass that might shatter if left unguarded. You're not leaving the lodge without an escort, he told her on the third morning, his tone brooking no argument. Sarah set down her tea with deliberate calm. I'm going to the training grounds. With Garrett and Finn. I don't need guards. You have them anyway. Cale didn't even look up from the map spread across his desk. Damien has scouts everywhere. I won't risk you. I'm not asking for your permission, Cale. That got his attention. His eyes snapped to hers, blazing gold. Excuse me? You heard me. Sarah stood, her wolf rising with her temper. I'm not a prisoner. I'm your mate. There's a difference. A prisoner I'd lock in a cell. My mate I keep safe. Safe or controlled? The words came out sharper than she'd intended, but Sarah didn't take them back. Because right now, you're making me feel exactly like I did in Silvercrest. Powerless. Watched. Controlled. Cale's jaw tightened dangerously. That's not fair. Isn't it? You won't let me train alone. Won't let me patrol. Won't let me be involved in any of the war planning. You're so busy protecting me that you've forgotten I'm supposed to be your partner, not your possession. I'm trying to keep you alive, Cale snarled, slamming his hands on the desk. Do you have any idea what Damien will do if he gets his hands on you? What Marcus would do? You're a silver wolf, Sarah. You're a threat to every alpha who wants to maintain power. Every pack that fears change. And I will be damned if I lose you because I gave you too much freedom to get yourself killed. The words echoed in the sudden silence. Sarah felt something crack inside her chest. Is that what you think love is? Caging someone to keep them safe? Yes, Cale said, his voice raw. If it means you're alive at the end of it, then yes. Sarah looked at this man, this alpha who'd claimed her, awakened her, made her feel powerful for the first time in years, and felt tears burn her eyes. Then you don't understand me at all, she said softly. I spent 28 years in a cage, Cale. A cage made of poison and lies and fear. And I would rather die free than live as a prisoner ever again. Even if that prisoner is yours. She walked out before he could respond, her wolf howling with grief and rage in equal measure. Tessa found her an hour later in the gardens, eyes swollen from crying. Luna? The girl sat beside her on the stone bench. The whole lodge is talking. They say you and the alpha had a fight. We did. He's tearing his office apart. Garrett said he's never seen the alpha like this. Sarah wiped her eyes. He wants to keep me safe. I want to be free. Those two things don't seem compatible. They are if you trust each other, Tessa said quietly. My parents had a fight like this once. My father wanted to keep my mother from hunting after she was injured. She told him that if he loved her, he'd trust her to know her own limits. To choose her own risks. What happened? He let her hunt. She proved she was healed. And they never fought about it again because they'd learned to trust each other's judgment. Tessa squeezed Sarah's hand. The alpha loves you. But he's been alone for so long, carrying the weight of this pack by himself. He doesn't know how to share that burden yet. You have to teach him. Sarah thought about that as she watched the sun climb higher. About trust and love and freedom. About what it meant to be partners instead of protector and protected. She was still thinking about it when Garrett came running into the gardens, his face pale. Luna. You need to come. Now. Sarah's heart clenched. What happened? Silvercrest. They've sent a formal declaration of war. They're mobilizing their entire pack. And they're not coming alone, Alpha Damien has called in his allies. 3 other packs have pledged warriors to his cause. Garrett's voice shook. We're looking at 200 wolves against our 80. Those odds, Luna, those are impossible odds. Sarah stood, her mind racing. 200 wolves. Against 80. Blood Moon would be slaughtered. And it was all because of her. Where's Cale? In the war room. Garrett hesitated. He's talking about a tactical retreat. Evacuating the pack to the northern mountains until we can call in reinforcements. But that could take weeks. And Damien won't wait weeks. He'll hunt us down. Sarah's wolf snarled. No. No more running. No more hiding. She had 3 choices, she realized. 3 paths forward, and each one led to blood. She could return to Silvercrest. Submit to Damien's control again, let him cage her silver wolf, let him win. It would save Blood Moon. Save Kale. But it would destroy her. She could stay and fight beside Kale. Let 200 wolves crash against their defenses. Watch good warriors die protecting her because she was too much of a coward to face the alpha who'd poisoned her for years. Watch Kale potentially die trying to save her. Or she could invoke the old laws. The ancient rights that even Damien couldn't ignore without losing all honor, all legitimacy as an alpha. She could challenge him herself. Sarah? Garrett's voice pulled her back. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, Sarah said slowly, that there's a 4th option. One that doesn't involve retreat or slaughter. What option? Sarah met his eyes. Take me to Kale. The war room was chaos. Maps covered every surface, markers showing troop positions, escape routes, defensible positions. Kale stood at the center of it all, looking more exhausted than Sarah had ever seen him. He looked up when she entered, and something cracked in his expression. Sarah. I have a solution, she interrupted. To the war. To all of it. The room went quiet. Every senior warrior turned to look at her. What solution? Kale asked carefully. I'm going to challenge Damien for leadership of Silvercrest. The silence was absolute. Then everyone started talking at once. That's suicide. She's barely awakened. A challenge during war mobilization. Enough, Kale roared, and the room fell silent. His eyes were locked on Sarah, burning with barely contained emotion. No. It's the only way. I said no. You don't get to decide this, Kale. Sarah moved closer to him, her voice soft but firm. This is my choice. My life. My fight. He'll kill you. Maybe. But maybe I'll kill him first. Or maybe, she took a breath. Maybe I'll show him mercy and prove I'm worthy of the power he's so afraid of. Kale grabbed her arms, his control fracturing. I can't watch you die. I can't, Sarah, please. We'll find another way. There is no other way. You know it. I know it. She cupped his face, making him look at her. Tonight is the blood moon. The most powerful moon of the year. If I'm going to invoke the Alpha Challenge, it has to be tonight. The old laws require it. The old laws also require trial by combat to the death, Finn said quietly. There's no mercy clause, Luna. One of you has to die, or the challenge is void. Sarah's stomach clenched, but she didn't back down. Then I'll change the laws. After I win. After you win, Kale repeated, his voice breaking. You're talking about facing an alpha who's been in power for 30 years. Who's killed dozens of challengers. Who has no honor and no mercy. And you think you can beat him? I think I have to try. Sarah pressed her forehead to his. I can't let hundreds of wolves die for me, Kale. I can't let you risk everything you've built because I was too afraid to face the man who hurt me. If I'm going to be your Luna, if I'm going to lead beside you, then I need to prove I'm strong enough to make the hard choices. This isn't a hard choice, it's a death sentence. Then trust me to survive it. The words hung between them, the same argument from this morning, but reversed. Now Sarah was asking Kale to let her risk herself. To trust her judgment. To believe in her strength. Kale's hands shook where they gripped her. If you die. I won't. If you die, Sarah, it will destroy me. Completely. Do you understand that? Yes. She kissed him softly. But I also understand that love means trusting the people we love to fight their own battles. To choose their own risks. You told me I was powerful, Kale. Now let me prove it. For a long moment, Kale just held her, his breath ragged against her hair. Then he pulled back, his eyes burning with a mixture of fear and pride and desperate love. Fine, he said hoarsely. But I'm coming with you. And if Damien refuses to honor the challenge, if he tries to kill you outside the rite, I'll burn Silvercrest to the ground. Deal. They sent the message at noon. Sarah Blackwood, Silver Wolf of the Royal Line, hereby invokes the right of Alpha challenge against Damien of Silvercrest. To be held at midnight during the blood moon, at the borderline oak, witnessed by both packs. Single combat. No interference. Damien's response came within the hour, challenge accepted. The hours until midnight crawled by like years. Sarah trained with Garrett, learning the basics of combat she'd never been allowed to master in Silvercrest. Her Silver Wolf was strong, stronger than she'd imagined, but strength meant nothing without skill. You fight like you've got something to prove, Garrett told her, blocking her strike easily. Stop trying to impress anyone and just fight to win. Sarah adjusted her stance, her wolf's instincts taking over. This time when she struck, Garrett actually had to work to deflect her. Better, he said, breathing hard. Remember, Damien's bigger and more experienced. But you're faster. Use that. They trained until Sarah's muscles screamed and her wolf snarled with readiness. Until the blood moon began to rise, huge and red on the horizon, and it was time. The borderline oak was lit by torches, both packs assembled on either side of neutral ground. Blood moon warriors stood in perfect formation, weapons ready, eyes watchful. Silvercrest had brought twice as many wolves, their allied pack spreading out like a conquering army. At the center, Damien waited. Still in human form, dressed in formal challenge attire, bare-chested, ceremonial marks painted on his skin. He looked confident. Hungry. Sarah walked forward with Kale at her side, Garrett and Finn flanking them. She wore simple fighting leathers, her hair braided back, her silver wolf pacing just beneath her skin. I'm glad you came, Damien called as she approached. I was worried you'd be too much of a coward. I'm done running from you, Sarah replied, her voice carrying across the assembled wolves. I invoke the old right. Single combat for leadership of Silvercrest Pack. Do you accept? I accept, Damien said. And when I kill you, little girl, I'll take your Silver Wolf's power for my own bloodline. Your death will make my pack unstoppable. You have to kill me first. Damien smiled. That won't be hard. An elder from the neutral Red Pine pack stepped forward to officiate. He was ancient, his face weathered, his eyes sharp. This challenge is witnessed under the blood moon, he announced. Sacred and binding. Combat continues until one party yields, dies, or is unable to continue. No interference from either pack, on pain of death. Challengers, do you understand these terms? I do, Sarah said. I do, Damien echoed. Then let the challenge begin. Sarah shifted, letting her silver wolf surge forward in a transformation that was smooth and powerful now. She felt her pack's awe, heard their gasps as moonlight caught her fur and made it glow like living silver. Damien shifted too, his wolf massive and battle-scarred, rust-colored with white around the muzzle. Older. But still deadly. They circled each other, and Sarah felt every eye watching. Felt the weight of prophecy, of history, of two packs holding their breath. Damien lunged first. Sarah dodged, barely, his teeth snapping shut where her throat had been a heartbeat before. She countered with a strike to his shoulder, her claws raking through fur and finding flesh. First blood to her. Damien snarled and came at her again, faster this time. They collided in a tangle of claws and teeth, and Sarah felt pain explode along her side as his fangs found purchase. She twisted, using her smaller size to slip free, and got her jaws around his front leg. She bit down hard. Damien howled and threw her off, sending her tumbling across the ground. She rolled to her feet, tasting his blood, her wolf singing with vicious satisfaction. They fought like that for what felt like hours. Trading blows. Drawing blood. Sarah was faster, but Damien was stronger and far more experienced. Every time she thought she had an opening, he'd counter with a move she didn't see coming. She was tiring. Her wounds were adding up, gashes on her shoulder, her flank, her leg. Nothing fatal yet, but enough to slow her down. Damien sensed it. His attacks became more aggressive, more brutal. He was going for the kill now. Sarah blocked. Dodged. Felt her strength waning. And then she heard it, a familiar voice shouting from the Silvercrest side. She's flagging. Finish her. Marcus. Cheering for her death. Something inside Sarah snapped. She'd spent years believing she was weak. Years internalizing their poison, their lies, their cruelty. She'd let them make her small. No more. Her silver wolf exploded with power she didn't know she had. Power that came from the royal bloodline, from the moon goddess herself. Power that made the very air around her shimmer with silver light. Damien's eyes widened with fear, real fear, for the first time. Sarah moved like lightning. She was suddenly everywhere at once, her strikes coming so fast Damien couldn't block them all. She tore through his defenses, shredded his confidence, and when she had him pinned beneath her with her jaws at his throat, the entire clearing fell silent. One bite. That's all it would take. One bite and the prophecy would be fulfilled, the silver wolf would destroy. Or she could choose differently. Sarah stepped back, shifting into human form. She stood over Damien's fallen wolf, naked and bleeding and glowing with silver light. Yield, she commanded. Damien shifted, his face twisted with rage and shame. Never. Then I'll kill you. Do it, he spat. Prove the prophecy right. Prove you're the destroyer we all feared. Sarah looked at him. This alpha who'd poisoned her, controlled her, tried to break her, and felt nothing but pity. No, she said. I'm not going to kill you, Damien. I'm going to show you mercy. I'm going to let you live so that every day for the rest of your life, you remember that a woman you tried to destroy became an alpha powerful enough to spare you. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. I claim leadership of Silvercrest Pack. And my first act as alpha is to banish Damien for his crimes of poisoning and suppression. He has until dawn to leave these territories. If he returns, the sentence is death. Gasps rippled through both packs. You can't, Damien started. I just did. Sarah turned to face the Silvercrest wolves. Any wolf who wishes to remain in Silvercrest under my leadership is welcome. Any wolf who wants to follow the old ways, the poison, the age limits, the cruelty, can leave with him. For a moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, wolves began to step forward. Younger females first, then older ones, tears streaming down their faces. Males who'd been mated to suppressed females. Warriors who'd been uncomfortable with Damien's methods. More than half the pack crossed to Sarah's side. Marcus wasn't among them. He stood frozen, staring at her like he'd never seen her before. Sarah, he said. Leave, Marcus. She was so tired suddenly. Tired of his excuses, his manipulations, his hollow apologies. Go with your father. I'm done with both of you. But as the wolves began to move, as Damien gathered his loyalists to retreat, chaos erupted. A blade flashed in the torchlight, an illegal weapon at a challenge, and Sarah saw Lissa lunging forward. Not at Sarah. At the Silvercrest wolf behind her who'd drawn the blade, who'd been about to plunge it into Sarah's back. Traitor, someone shouted. Lissa tackled the assassin, and they went down in a tangle. But the blade found its mark, just not the one intended. It sank into Lissa's side as she shielded Sarah with her own body. No. Kale roared, finally breaking his enforced stillness to rush forward. Sarah dropped to her knees beside Lissa as Blood Moon warriors subdued the assassin, a Silvercrest male who'd been paid by one of Damien's allied alphas to ensure Sarah didn't survive the night. Why? Sarah gasped, pressing her hands to Lissa's wound. Why would you? Because you're his mate, Lissa said, blood on her lips. Because he loves you. And because. She smiled faintly. Because you're going to be a better Luna than I ever would have been. I'm sorry, Sarah. For everything. Don't, Sarah said, her voice breaking. Don't apologize. You just saved my life. Then we're even. Lissa's eyes found Kale's. Take care of her, Alpha. She's stronger than you think. Lissa, Kale's voice cracked. But Lissa's eyes had already gone distant, her breathing shallow. Garrett worked frantically, but they were too far from healers, and the wound was too deep. She died as the blood moon reached its peak, her last act one of redemption. Sarah held her as she went, tears mixing with blood on the forest floor. The aftermath was quiet and somber. Damien and his loyalists disappeared into the night, heading for territories unknown. The assassin was executed on the spot, justice for Lissa's death. The remaining Silvercrest wolves, now leaderless, now lost, looked to Sarah with uncertain hope. What happens to us now? One of them asked. Sarah stood slowly, Kale's shirt wrapped around her for modesty, her wounds already beginning to heal. Now, she said, we rebuild. Any Silvercrest wolf who wants to join Blood Moon is welcome. Any who want to reform Silvercrest under new laws, fair laws, just laws, can stay and help me build something better. 2 packs. Garrett asked. 1 alliance, Sarah corrected. Blood Moon and Silvercrest, united. Stronger together than we ever were apart. She looked at Kale, saw the pride and love blazing in his eyes. If my Alpha agrees. Your Alpha, Kale said, pulling her into his arms, agrees with anything his Luna decides. Though we're going to have a long talk about you nearly dying. You can yell at me later. Sarah sagged against him, exhausted. Right now I just need you. You have me, Kale promised. Always. They completed the mating bond that night, in Kale's chambers, with the blood moon still hanging in the sky. It was fierce and claiming and healing all at once, a merging of souls that left them both gasping and changed. When Sarah woke the next morning, she was Luna of Blood Moon and Alpha of reformed Silvercrest. 2 packs, 1 alliance, and a future that finally felt like it belonged to her. The following weeks were chaos of a different kind, good chaos. Laws being rewritten. Packs being merged. The Moon Tea destroyed and its creators punished. Women shifting for the first time in years, awakening to their true strength. Sarah stood on the lodge balcony one evening, watching her 2 packs train together in the yard below, when Kale found her. You did it, he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. You changed everything. We did it, Sarah corrected. I couldn't have. She stopped. Because the air had suddenly gone cold. The wolves below had frozen mid-motion. And from the forest's edge, a figure emerged. She was ancient. So old that her skin seemed to be made of weathered bark, her eyes milky white. But Sarah felt the power rolling off her like a physical force. The silver wolf awakens, the old woman said, her voice like wine through dead leaves. And with her awakening, the old things stir. Kale tensed. Who are you? I am what remains of the first pack. The ones who came before. The ones who buried what should have stayed buried. Her sightless eyes fixed on Sarah. You have fulfilled the first prophecy, child. You united the packs. But the second prophecy is darker. Your awakening has drawn attention from things that sleep beneath the earth. Ancient enemies who were defeated once but never destroyed. They're coming. And they're hungry. Sarah's blood ran cold. What enemies? The shadow wolves. The ones who nearly destroyed all of werewolf kind before the silver wolves bound them. Your ancestor was the one who sealed them away. The old woman smiled, and it was terrible. And now they want revenge on her bloodline. On you. How do we stop them? Kale demanded. You don't. You can only prepare. The old woman began to fade, her form becoming translucent. The real battle is coming, Silver Wolf. The one that will determine whether your prophecy ends in salvation or annihilation. And you have no idea what you're truly capable of. Not yet. She vanished like smoke. Sarah stood frozen, Kale's arms tight around her. What the hell was that? He finally said. I don't know. Sarah stared at the spot where the woman had been. But I think my journey is just beginning. In the distance, beneath the earth, something ancient stirred in its prison. Something dark and hungry and patient. The silver wolf had awakened. And so had her enemies. Epilogue. 3 months later, Sarah stood on the border where she'd first met Kale, looking up at the moon. Her hand rested on her still flat belly, where new life grew, a child who would carry both her silver wolf bloodline and Kale's alpha strength. Are you afraid? Kale asked, joining her under the stars. Terrified, Sarah admitted. Of what's coming. Of what I might have to face. Of what I might have to become. You won't face it alone. I know. She leaned into him, drawing strength from his presence. But the old woman was right. I can feel it sometimes, deep in the earth. Something waiting. Something watching. Then we'll be ready, Kale said fiercely. Whatever comes, whatever darkness rises, we'll face it together. Sarah hoped he was right. But deep in her bones, in the part of her that had awakened to her silver wolf's power, she knew the truth. The real battle was coming. And it would test everything she'd become, everything she'd built, everything she loved. The prophecy wasn't complete. It had only just begun. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and like this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to know the country in which you are in, listening to this story. Which country is that? Please comment below.